All right, guys, welcome back to One Take Wednesday with Timmy here with TVG Automotive Specialties. And today we're going to kind of go over the features of the Height Stinger radio that we installed here just a little while ago. And right off the bat, I just want to say I'm super excited for this radio. Not only is the price point reasonable for an in-dash infotainment system, and to be honest with you, the installation really wasn't that tough. The hardest part of this is trying to get all that wiring into the dash. If you can do that, the battle's been won. This one was simple and it came out beautiful. Look at this dash. It's great. Let's go ahead and get it running here for you. So right off the bat, Stinger, great screen, great quality. It does take a little bit of use to getting that big screen in your face if you aren't used to having it today. Normally in my vehicles I've had in the past, you have a 7-inch screen, and that's pretty cool. Every now and then in my own Jeep, this isn't mine, this is a client of ours, I'll put my 10-inch screen in when I go off-road. But this 10-inch screen in the dash, great quality, awesome radio. Really can't have no complaints about this so far. It is really went in really quite fun. Here's your standard radio here. Now with the radio and as well as a lot of the other features here, this does have some customizable pieces to it. You can customize the button colors to match the interior. You can actually change the background on here. There's 3 empty spots for you to put your own custom one in there, plus there are 9 preset ones. I went with the flames today because there is a blizzard outside right now, and let me tell you, we needed some warming here. With this standard radio features, there's auto preset your stations, AM, FM, they're good to go. There's also this bar down here that is customizable that allows you to kind of get quick access to anything you want inside your radio. So let's get started with the menu. This is our main menu here. With the main menu, it gives you all your different features. Now, not all these features are working in this particular vehicle. For example, our Sirius XM, this radio is ready, but it does not have the tuner. It is a separate component you do buy that needs to be installed. Our client here did not want to do the satellite tuner, so we did not install it. But remember back in the unboxing, there was that extra antenna. So if they do want that in the future, we can use the factory antenna, plug and play a couple things in there, in and out should be no problem, as long as we find room for it in the dash. Other than that, kind of some of your basics here. Let's get to some of the cool stuff right off the bat. The vehicle integration pieces on here. This is where I think this blows my mind with the vehicle integration. Starting with climate controls. With your climate controls, it gives you a screen, tells you what everything is going on. Not only can you control it here off the main controls, you can also control it inside of the radio here. I'm going to start the vehicle so you can see how some of this stuff works. Second here. All right, now that the vehicle is running, we'll have access to be able to control our heater controls. First of all, like I said, it's a blizzard. So right away in here, I'm going to turn on my heated seats and my heating steering wheel. See how simple that was? Now I just sit back and wait for the warmth, right? I can control the passenger seat as well. You can actually adjust the seats for the different settings, depending on what you want them at, right? I can turn off the steering wheel control. I can use the buttons on the side. I can use these buttons here, right? It just depends on my mood of the day. I actually have way too many options. It doesn't need to be this complicated, but I actually think it's really cool that my screen does it all for me as well. So that's the heater controls. Basically, all your heater control options are available on here, and we'll mix and match and work with whatever controls you want. You also didn't know that the volume control down here works as well as the volume control up here, and our steering wheel controls work as well. This kit did it all. So really, if you're used to using one volume knob versus another, you're good to go. Moving on through here, get to our, I'm going to shut the, let's look at some of the vehicle information here. While we got the vehicle running, hopefully it's not too noisy in the background. As you can see, we've got our pitch and our roll gauges here that come with this, as well as our compass and our longitude, latitude, and our altitude settings. You'll see that throughout different parts of here. This one's really cool too, is you can actually select your camera to be on while you have some of those gauges going. This is great if you're an off-road. If you're off-road enthusiast, or you like to overland, or you like to get off the beaten path a little bit, this is a great feature. Not only do you have the ability to see these as you're going, if this vehicle was equipped with a front camera, we could actually select our front camera so that as you're making those big hill climbs and moving through the terrain, you'll be able to have not only your visual here, but when you lose your visual here, you can have it in here. This system also allows you to wire up additional cameras. So you've seen some of these new systems out there. I know the Dodge Power Wagon has the 360 view and various things like that. Well, here, if we wanted to get crazy and add cameras to the mirrors, another camera in the back, another camera somewhere else in here, we have a lot of different options to add more cameras. So awesome feature. Well done, Stinger. Really excited for this. I can't wait. Hopefully someday I'll put one of these in my Jeep, but for now that'll have to wait. Our clients typically get the good stuff before I do, right? So here we go. Next, we're going to go to our other gauges. So we're going to get out of here. We're going to go to, oops, not our camera. You can actually do some of your adjustments with which camera you have in there, but we're going to get out of here. Back into our gauges. So you do have some additional gauges, oil pressure, basically intakes, all your different gauges for the vehicle. So if you're towing a lot or if you're carrying a lot of extra weight, you can kind of keep an eye out on some of the crucial settings in here and make sure nothing gets above what you should, or at least maintain. I don't use these ones as often. When I used to tow with I used to have a Ram and towed a little bit more, I would use these to kind of keep an eye on the transmission and stuff like that, so I wasn't overdriving my system. But they are great to have if you need them. You do have your performance, as well as your drivetrain. So you can see right now we are in 4-wheel drive high. That's because I drove it through the snow to get it into the shop here. It'll even show you the position of your tires, which if any of you have done any type of rock crawling or going through some more difficult terrains, and the guy is telling you, your spotter out front's telling you to straighten your wheels, and you're like, all right, it's got to be straight. My steering wheel's right. Well, I can actually see here. No, I'm definitely not straight. So let me get those wheels straightened back out. Awesome feature to have. So it's back out. I'm actually going to shut the vehicle off here quick. So we might lose our radio. Let's get it on. All right. So now we got our radio back on. We can go through some other ones. Navigation. Obviously we are indoors right now, so the navigation will be just a little screwy because it's trying to locate the GPSs. I have a roof and a bunch of other stuff above us, so it's going to be a little tough. When it comes to aftermarket or even OEM navigation system, they tend to all kind of have a lot of the same features, so I'm not going to bore you here with all the descriptions, but I'll just give you kind of a nice overview. It does give you a trip computer, as well as you can go back. You can adjust some different settings in here. You can do a multi-point. That's great if you're used to using GPS and in-dash. It's going to be very familiar. There isn't too many differences with that. So won't bore you with the details there. You can save your favorites, so home to work, or maybe you want to go to grandma's house, and you can add that in here. Pretty easy, add a location. Pretty simple to do. Going back. So that's our navigation. And if you just don't want the display on, you can turn it off. Your radio and everything will still function. You just won't have the display in your face. Another great feature to have, especially with these larger screens. Let's go back. So one thing I really like to go over real quick. If you're like me and you have a cell phone, last thing you want to do is always be on the cell phone. Cell phone laws are becoming more popular. So what you have on here, whether you're an Android or an iPod person, we'll debate which one is the smart kid in class, especially the iPhone people. But it doesn't matter. This is set up to be able to take both of them. We were able to retain the factory USB, so I'm plugged into the center console USB. I'm going to plug into my phone. Once we're plugged in, you can see we're charging, and then it should go into CarPlay. So we are set up with CarPlay. So right now, my phone is now hands-free. I can just set it anywhere. I can put it inside the console. I don't need to touch it or look at it for anything else. This is great, especially for your young drivers. My son, I put in a system where he has his Android Auto. He puts his phone away. He doesn't have to pick it up for text messages, calls, or anything. It all comes through the radio. So it's a great thing to have. If you are familiar with this, I won't get you too far into the details, but I am super excited. 10-inch screen, really easy to read. The GUI is a little, some would say cartoony, but the user interface is what it is. It's just an expanded version of it on a 10-inch screen, which, you know what? I'm not getting any younger and my eyes aren't getting any better. So having a little bit larger screen to be able to see some of these buttons and a little larger button for my fingers, I'm not going to complain too much about that. This does have all your standard CarPlay features depending on what you have in your phone. I have my phone, my music, my maps, my messages, yada, yada, yada. If you scroll over here, you'll see we have Waze, we have Google Maps, and GPS. For some of you off-roaders there, GPS, it does work in the CarPlay. I still use mine on my tablet because I think you have a few more features in the tablet that you're just not going to get on the display here, but you can still use your map overlays if you have them all set up. So that is our CarPlay kind of in a nutshell. If you want to get back to the main menu while you're in CarPlay, hit that little button there, the Stinger button. That brings us right back to our main menu. There are basic settings on here. Your clock system settings that you want to set up. One of the settings in here too would allow you to set it up for either left-hand or right-hand drive. So if you're one of those kooky people that bought a Jeep from Europe and brought it over and it's right-hand drive, awesome. You can set this up to work in that vehicle as a right-hand drive vehicle. You can just do different, there are some special installer settings which do require a installer password. I'm not going to give that out on here. But if you buy it and you have the owner's manual, you most likely will know the code. This is great because this gets you into another level of settings that'll allow the installer to fine tune some things for you. As we go along the lines, here's our illumination settings. So we can change the illumination to match. You can turn it on or off. You can adjust the brightness of it. You have your background settings like we had talked about earlier. Like I said, there are 9 featured background settings, and all you have to do is hit the button and the background is changed. Very, very simple. And then you have 3 customizable ones in here. Just take a USB drive, format it correctly. You'll be able to put them in here. And if you want a picture of your Jeep on your Jeep, then you can make that happen. Going back, display settings. Definitely recommend that you play around with the display settings because when we first took this out, it was a little dark out and we had the navigation on. It was blinding. It was so bright. And did I mention there's a blizzard outside? So we needed to make some adjustments. So we were able to adjust this properly so that at night it doesn't feel overwhelming. Sound settings, which are just your pretty much standard sound settings. Thumbs up to the EQ. You can really dial in the music on here. In this vehicle, we've also installed 2 8-inch subs. We got 6x9s in the sound bar, 6.5s in the knee bolsters, and our 3.5s up in the dash. So we have a pretty killer sound system in here. This really helps us dial that thing directly in. You can preset some customized. They have the factory EQs for those of you who like to use the factory ones or your standard settings. Tabs, again, this is where we get to customize that bar down here. So if I want to change something out, I don't want my favorites in there. I want, satellite radio down here, whatever that is, you can adjust and make those happen so that you always have that customizable bar. And kind of coming up to the end, vehicle settings, again, this are actually all your OEM settings. So if you have a factory radio and you've played with these settings before, this kind of mirrors what that is. More or less, this allows you to change if you turn the headlights on, it turns your wipers on, or how long your lights stay on after you lock the vehicle. All those settings are OEM settings. They give you it in the screen to do that. So overall, big thumbs up to Stinger on this one. Awesome job with the pack integration and making sure that all my features work, all my steering wheel controls work, all my heater controls work, all the factory cameras work with this. I'm really just kind of blown away at how easy it was to integrate into those systems. If any of you guys are like me, I have the Jeep JL, and right off the bat, I was excited. 2018, got it. No aftermarket stuff for it. So I had been waiting a long time for something cool like this to come out and hit the market. So if you're like me and you like Jeeps, and again, this isn't just for Jeeps. This works in a lot of other vehicles too. Check out Stinger's website. You'll be able to see what fitment there is for different vehicles, whether you have a Mitsubishi, Ford, Toyota. There's a lot of different options out there. Not only do you have the height, there's also the it's an 8-inch screen that they have, but you have options. And this is really cool. Check them out. Stinger Audio. Look for their infotainment systems and try one out.